Please be seated. During the break, was there any consultation of outside sources, any deliberations, any discussion of the case, any violations of the court's admonition? And I'll note for the record, all 12 jurors plus our 4 alternates are present. General, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Deputy Murphy, I was going to ask you if you recognize what we'll call Exhibit 7 for identification.
Yes, ma'am.
What is that a photograph of?
That is the victim laying on the back porch when AMR's there.
And who took that photograph?
I did.
Is that accurately reflect where the victim was located when you saw him on that morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, we'd offer that as Exhibit 7.
Any objection?
No objection.
So received into evidence is 7.
Deputy Murphy, you can see there at the photograph that's depicted there on your screen. Could you tell us how the defendant's positioned there? Can you kind of orient us a little bit? Do you know?
He's laying on his back. This was a chair.
You can actually touch the screen and draw a circle, and the jury will be able to see what you're talking about.
There's a chair here, and you can see where he's laying on his back, and his arm's still resting on the chair as paramedics is working on him.
And that's how you found him when you arrived there?
Yes, ma'am.
Were there other witnesses at the scene that you saw?
There was some females that was on the back porch that one of the other officers had pulled them to the side.
Okay. Were they rendering aid when you arrived there, the females, or was AMR working on him?
They had quit. They got there just prior to me walking up, so they was still on the porch.
Was Mr. Shelton alive when you got there?
He did not appear to be to me at all.
Okay. I'm going to show you the next photograph here. Do you recognize that one?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the victim at a different time there?
Yes, that's after AMR had left.
We'd offer that as Exhibit 8.
Any objection? So received into evidence.
If I could you tell us there, can you describe for us again what we're seeing?
Right here at the garden hoses is the holster, the pistol, and then there's some casings right up here next to the grill. You can see 2 casings in this photo.
Did you see a gun when you got there?
I did not.
Okay. Did you collect any of the evidence that's reflected in the photographs that we've marked as Exhibit 7 or 8?
Crime scene would have done that.
Did you assist at all in terms of placing tape at the scene or securing the scene?
Yeah, we secured the scene as soon as we went in. Yeah, we put the tape up.
Okay. Were you able to ever interview the suspect at all?
No, he was in the back of a car when I got there.
There's a little button down in the corner that says clear. Will you hit that clear button for us? Thank you. I'll pass the witness on.
Officer Murphy, approximately what time did you arrive on scene?
May have took 10 minutes after the original call went out.
Okay, so somewhere around 6:15, 6:20.
It was right before it was getting ready to get daylight.
You testified that you hadn't seen a gun on scene,
No, I did not.
but there was a holster,
Yes.
and that holster was on the back porch.
Yes.
Can you describe the holster?
It was just a black holster.
How many photographs did you take?
I don't know for sure the total amount.
Okay. Do you know how those were labeled?
My card was removed and given to crime scene.
Okay. Do you remember what kind of camera you were shooting with?
Canon.
Canon Rebel?
I don't know the numbers on it. It's a Canon.
Okay. Did you take photos of the 2 females, their hands, their feet, their legs?
The one female that was in the back of the cruiser, I took photos of her feet where you could see where she'd been in the grass.
Okay. You turned over all these photos to crime scene?
Yes.
Who was that?
I think it was Talbot was the one that came up there that morning.
Thank you. Thank you, President.
No further witness, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may be excused, thank you. Call your next witness.
State calls crime scene investigator Brian Talbot.
And I assume there were no questions, correct, passed up? I'll ask my jurors on the end, if you do ever get questions passed down, if you would please bring that to our attention.
Just raise your right hand, please, sir.
Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Please be seated.
Will you state your name for the record, please,
Brian Talbot,
and where you employed,
the Blount County Sheriff's Office.
and what is your current position at the Blount County Sheriff's Office?
Crime scene investigator
How long have you been a crime scene investigator?
for 2 years,
How long have you been with the Sheriff's Office in general?
for 10 years.
What are your duties as a crime scene investigator with the Sheriff's Office?
Collect, photograph, document, and process evidence for the crime scene.
And were you on duty on August the 28th of 2018?
I was,
And did you have reason to respond to 808 Beaver Drive?
yes.
And what was going to be your role in your response to 808 Beaver Drive?
I was the lead investigator, crime scene investigator for
Okay.
the call.
So are there different positions on how people are assigned to a potential death investigation?
Usually on our homicide cases, we will have a lead crime scene investigator, and then we'll have a secondary just to help out with taking measurements and documentation.
And was there a secondary investigator in this case?
Yes,
Who was that?
that was Jessica Sparks.
Okay. What was sort of the status of the scene when you arrived?
When I arrived on scene, they had Mr. Foley was in the back of a patrol unit. They had everybody, all the occupants of the residence were out on the front porch. Had the crime scene taped off, and that was pretty much it.
If you can just sort of talk about your process as a crime scene investigator when you approach a scene, how you're going to start the process of documenting and processing that scene for potential evidence.
The first thing I would do is do initial walkthrough, and then on that walkthrough I would take initial photographs, and then I would observe any crucial evidence that is just stands out to me. I would go ahead and take photos and mark those, and then after my initial walkthrough, then I will conduct a video of the crime scene, and then once the video is complete, then I will go ahead and start collecting evidence and taking my diagrams and measurements.
So you'll do a crime scene walkthrough video.
Yes.
And did you do that in this specific instance?
Yes, I did.
Now, I see you've reviewed that video since documenting and processing this crime scene. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at this time, I'd like to play video of the crime scene walkthrough.
Any objection?
Investigator Talbot, did you then begin the process after you've taken this video? And Your Honor, I'd ask that this come in as, I believe, exhibit number 9, please.
Any objection?
No objection.
So received into evidence as 9.
I assume at this point you began the process of collecting and documenting the evidence that you recovered from that scene. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's previously been entered as exhibit number 5. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes.
Okay, what is that? What is that a photograph of?
That was a weapon recovered from the mailbox. The mailbox number was 808, and it was the responding deputies on scene advised me that that was the weapon used in the shooting.
Thank you. And did you go through the process of collecting that gun?
I did.
And did you enter it into evidence as part of your case file in relation to this homicide investigation?
Yes, I did.
Do you have that gun here today?
Yes.
Can you please, do you have gloves up there?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to ask the same questions.
Okay. Proceed.
I assume you have securely made that weapon safe, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You'd be in trouble if you hadn't. Is that the firearm that you recovered from the mailbox at 808 Beaver Drive?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And did you do anything in regards to that firearm to see that it was properly tested or analyzed?
Yes, it was sent to the TBI lab in Nashville. It was sent to the serology and also ballistics.
Your Honor, I'd ask this come in as exhibit number 10, please.
Objection. So received as number 10.
Is it common as a crime scene investigator for you to diagram scenes?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And what is a crime scene diagram?
We will take I'll do an actual overview of the entire property, and then we'll also do more in-depth views. And on this incident, I did a detailed of the back porch where the incident occurred, a detailed of the detached garage, and also showed the interior of the residence as far as just the layout of the rooms and stuff.
And those diagrams you make, are those to scale?
No.
Okay, what does not to scale mean?
Not to scale means that, the furniture is not going to be in the exact spot. The evidence isn't going to be in the exact spot that it was recovered from.
Okay. If I may approach.
Yes.
You recognize this diagram?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
That's a diagram of the interior of the residence.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd ask this be entered as exhibit number 11, please.
No objection.
So receiving the evidence is 11.
Does the screen there show the diagram there, investigator?
Yes, it does.
And which particular diagram is this?
This is just shows the layout of the residence.
Okay. So this is 808 Beaver Drive, correct?
Correct.
So real quick, just in general, where approximately was the victim located on this diagram?
The victim was located on the back porch.
Okay, right around there?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And you stated that it is part of your process to photograph things that you find to be important, correct?
Correct.
You recognize this photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is that a photograph of?
That's a photograph of the side driveway, the detached garage, and the corner of the porch.
Your Honor, I'd ask this come into exhibit number 12, please.
Any objection? So received is 12.
So where would be the back porch in relation to this photograph, investigator?
The back porch was right over here.
I want to ask you a question. Do you see what I've circled right there?
Yes.
What is that?
The floodlight.
Okay, that's a floodlight on the shed or garage or whatever you might call it.
Yes.
And was that, when you arrived, was that floodlight on or off?
It was on.
Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
What is that a photograph of?
That's an overall photo of the exterior porch.
All right, ask this come in at exhibit number 13, please.
So receiving the evidence is 13.
So this is sort of the porch from the rear of the residence, is that correct?
Yes.
Likewise, do you see any lights on that photograph?
Yeah, there's one light that's on the back door that goes into the, I guess you could call it a mud room. And then this one's not on the photo, but there is another floodlight on this door right here, that goes into the master bedroom.
Thank you. You recognize this photograph?
Yes.
What is that a photograph of?
That's a photograph that's an overshot of the exterior porch. Deputy Hal Whedon used our drone to capture that photo.
All right, this is coming to exhibit number 14, please.
No objection.
So received is 14.
So this is a view of the porch from sort of overhead, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now again, where approximately was the victim located when you arrived?
The victim was located this large blood stain on the deck.
Now I assume part of your investigation process, did you approach the victim?
Yes.
And did you do any sort of examination in regard to the victim?
Yes, sir.
And what are you looking for when you do that external examination?
We're looking for any type of evidence that may be on the victim, obvious signs of injuries. We also look for those.
You recognize this photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
That's a overall photo of the victim, Mr. Shelton.
Your Honor, this is coming to exhibit number 15, please.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Clear that out, please.
Sorry.
So received into evidence.
Thank you. Now, this photo here, is this the photo I've just showed you?
Yes, it is.
What is the victim wearing in this shirt? Or,
Wearing,
what is he wearing in this photo?
he's wearing a white T-shirt, red shorts, pair of Crocs with black socks.
And can clothing be a potentially important piece of evidence for you as a crime scene investigator?
Yes, we can, from clothing, we can obtain possibly DNA, and also, if for the type of case like this, we can send it off to get a gunshot residue from the clothing.
Did you do anything in regards to collection of the clothing of the victim?
Yes, the clothing was, or the shirt was collected, and it was sent to the TBI lab in Nashville.
Okay, and you collected that shirt?
It was sent to, the shirt went with the victim to the forensic center, and then we collected it from
Okay.
the forensic center.
And do you have that shirt here today?
Yes.
All right, I'd ask to enter the shirt as exhibit number 16, please.
Any objection? Can you both approach, please?
Oh, I did not. I'm sorry. Did you have that shirt here today, investigator?
Yes, I do.
Your Honor, I would again ask to enter this shirt as exhibit number 16, please.
Any objection? So received to 16.
Can you please retrieve that, investigator?
Yes. You want it? Since you want to cooperate.
That is the shirt you collected from Mr. Shelton, correct?
Yes,
And that was sent to TBI for testing?
correct.
Thank you very much. If you don't care to return that to its bag, please. Investigator, will you occasionally collect actual physical evidence from a deceased individual themselves?
Yes, we'll collect physical evidence if there's a possibility that it can be loosed in the transportation of a victim, such as something that's loosely on the body or if it's small.
So you'll collect something if you're worried it might get lost in transport,
Correct.
basically. Okay. I may approach. You recognize this photograph, sir?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
It is a photo of Mr. Shelton.
Okay. Is that a little just closer up photo of Mr. Shelton?
Yes.
Let me ask you, when you did, and I'd ask that this come in as the next numbered exhibit, please, Your Honor.
Any objection? So received into evidence.
When you did a physical external examination of Mr. Shelton, did you find anything that you found of any relevance that you collected?
Yes, right here on his cheek with that dark spot, there was a projectile partially embedded in his cheek.
Okay. Were there any other projectiles or anything like that located on
Yes,
him?
there was one on his chest. I believe it was on this one. His right arm also had a projectile fragment on it, and then when we rolled the body over, there was a projectile fragment on this back.
And did you collect those fragments?
Yes.
And were those likewise entered into evidence?
Yes,
You have those with you here today?
I do.
Could you pull out the projectile from the chest, please? You don't have to take it out of the bag, but
Okay.
is there in a plastic bag? Is that projectile?
Yes, we've got it right here.
Your Honor, I'd ask this come in as exhibit number 17, please.
That's 18.
18.
Any objection?
No objection.
So received into evidence. Just so I'm clear, 18 was recovered
From the
from
chest.
the chest. Okay, just want to make sure.
Could you next get the projectile from the arm?
Yes.
Is that the projectile you recovered from Mr. Shelton?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I'd ask this come as exhibit number 19, please.
No objection.
So received into evidence.
Could you retrieve the projectile from the back? Is that the... And can I ask, what is projectile?
Projectile can mean, basically it was fragments from the bullet itself.
Okay. And is that the projectile you recovered from the back?
Yes.
Your Honor, that's come as number 20, please.
No objection.
So received into evidence.
Investigator, I see there's a yellow marker there next to Mr. Shelton, number 9 on it. Do you see that?
Yes.
What is that marker signifying?
That marker, there is a hole directly beside that marker. That was a projectile defect or bullet hole.
You recognize this photograph, investigator?
Yes.
What is that?
That's a more detailed of the projectile defect.
The whole bullet hole?
Yes.
Your Honor, this is coming as exhibit number 21,
No
please.
objection.
So received into evidence is 21.
So the marker 9 there, basically, is that showing us the bullet hole in the deck?
Yes.
Okay. Did you take any steps to try to locate what might have caused that bullet hole?
Yes, we used a trajectory rod and used it, inserted it into the hole, and it went straight down to the ground in the yard, and we were able to retrieve a projectile from the yard.
So you were able to locate the bullet that you felt made that hole?
Yes.
Do you have that with you here today?
Yes.
Could you please get it? So that's the bullet recovered sort of underneath the porch or beside the porch on the ground.
Yes, it was at the angle. It was at a 50-degree angle, so it basically was beside the porch, not underneath. It didn't go directly underneath it. It passed through, and if you stepped off the porch, it was right there.
Your Honor, that's just coming to exhibit number 22, please.
No objection.
So received into evidence is 22.
You recognize this photograph, investigator?
Yes.
What is that?
That is it's an outdoor, wouldn't know really how to say it, just a stool or outdoor leg rest that was on the back porch.
Okay, and is that the leg rest as you found it on the scene there?
Yes.
Your Honor, this is coming to exhibit 23, please.
No objection.
So received is 23.
What is it that is of any import on this particular footstool, investigator?
This one had a projectile defect that went directly through the one of the metal supports on it.
This photograph, investigator,
Yes, that's the same one.
is that just a close-up of that same hole?
Yes.
Your Honor, that's kind of exhibit number 24, please.
No objection.
So received is 24.
You don't care to clear off your screen there. Is that just a close-up of the bullet hole, for lack of a better term, in the footstool?
Yes.
This photograph, sir?
That is a metal chair that was on the back porch. It was in that position when I arrived on the scene.
What position is that?
It's the right rear leg is barely on the porch. The front left leg it's tilted, almost falling off the porch. Mr. Shelton's arm is resting on top of it.
Okay, and that's how it was as you arrived.
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask this come in as exhibit number 25, please.
No objection.
So received as 25.
Is this the photograph we're talking about, investigator?
Yes.
Okay. So which chair, we're talking about the chair here just to the right of Mr. Shelton, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Did you do an examination of that chair?
Yes, we did.
And did you find anything of note located on that chair?
Yes. In the right armrest, there was a projectile defect in the arm.
You recognize that photograph?
Yes.
What is that a photograph of?
That is the projectile defect in the arm.
Of that same chair?
Yes.
Your Honor, that's coming as exhibit number 26, please.
No objection.
So received as 26.
So this is basically a bullet hole in the arm of that chair, correct?
Yes.
All right. Did you take any process to actually collect that arm?
Yes, because the projectile was still encased in the arm. So what we did was, instead of sending the whole chair to the TBI lab in Nashville, we actually cut the arm off and just sent the arm to the TBI.
And do you have that with you here today?
Yes.
Could you please get it? So that's the chair of the arm with the bullet hole in it.
Yes.
I'd ask this come as exhibit number 27,
No
please.
objection.
So received as 27.
You recognize this photograph?
Yes, it's a close-up of the victim, Jimmy Shelton.
You previously mentioned a projectile in the face area, correct?
Yes.
Does that better depict that?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask this come as exhibit number 28, please.
No objection.
So received as 28.
If you can you point out where it is we're talking about, this projectile?
The projectile was inside this circle I created. So,
And did you do anything in regards to collecting it?
yes.
And did you collect it?
Oh, yes.
Do you have that here today?
Yes, I do.
Could you please retrieve that? Your Honor, I'd ask that projectile be come in as exhibit number 29, please.
No objection.
So received as 29.
Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
What is that?
It is it was a black holster that was laying on the floor on the porch.
So that's a gun holster on the deck?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask this come as exhibit number 30.
No objection.
So received as 30.
So where on the deck is this?
The holster was more towards the entrance of the deck. There was a coiled up water hose, and it was laying in the middle of it. So if you're standing and looking at Mr. Shelton, it would be to your left.
And did you collect that holster itself?
Yes.
And do you have it here today?
Yes.
Could you please retrieve it? Your Honor, I'd ask that the holster be entered in as exhibit number 31, please.
No objection.
So received as 31.
Investigator Talbot, did you take any steps regarding that holster and the previously recovered firearm?
Yes, check to make sure that it would fit up to the firearm.
And what were the results of that?
It fit the firearm.
Now, would it be able to do that today?
Yes.
Okay.
Except I've got the trigger lock, so it
So
couldn't
without the
fit.
trigger locked in,
Yes.
okay. You recognize that photograph?
Yes.
What is that a photograph of?
2 expanded cartridges that were located on the back deck.
Okay. I'd ask this come in as exhibit number 32, please, Your Honor.
No objection.
So received as 32.
So you said that the 2 expended cartridges. Can you please circle those on the screen?
Yes, one of them's right here, and then there was another one also laying on a 25-pound weight.
And did you do anything with regards to those cartridges?
Yes, they were collected, and they were sent to TBI lab in Nashville for ballistics.
Do you have those shell casings returned now here today?
Yes.
Can you retrieve those, please?
Yes.
All right, I guess that one come in as exhibit number 33 and one is number 34, please.
Are they marked as to where they're located?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so 33 would be the one on the weight.
Okay.
Any objection?
No objection, thank you.
So that would be 33, received into evidence, and 34 would be the one on the decking.
Okay.
Any objection?
No objection.
So received is 34. Into evidence.
Clear that out. You recognize that photograph?
Yes.
What is that?
It's an expanded cartridge that was located on the exterior deck.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd ask that come as exhibit number 35, please.
No objection.
So received into evidence is 35.
So this is another expended cartridge you located on the deck, correct?
Correct.
And where is that on the deck?
This one was more towards the two doors that were on the side of the deck.
And did you collect that shell casing?
Yes.
And you have it here today?
Yes, I do.
I'd ask that the shell casing come as exhibit number 36, please.
Any objection? So received into evidence is 36.
Likewise, investigator, this photograph.
The expanded cartridge, and that was next to a grill that was on the back deck.
So another expended cartridge on the deck.
Yes.
All right, ask this come in as exhibit number 37, please.
No objection.
So received into evidence is 37.
So this is on the grill on one end of the deck, correct?
Yes, it was on the wall the exterior wall that's part of the master bedroom.
And did you likewise collect that shell casing?
Yes.
And you have it here today?
Yes, I do.
Can you retrieve it, please?
Yes.
I'd ask to enter that in as exhibit number 38, please.
No objection.
So received into evidence.
This, sir?
It's an expanded cartridge that was in front of the door that goes into the master bedroom.
So another expended cartridge on the deck.
Yes.
I'd ask this come as exhibit number 39.
Any
No
objection?
objection.
So received into evidence is 39.
And is that the physical shell casing that you recovered there?
Yes.
I'd ask that the shell casing come in as exhibit number 40, please.
No objection.
So received into evidence is 40. Hold on just a second. Let's let.
I can do these two together. Great. This photograph, investigator.
It's an expanded cartridge on the in the yard directly beside the house.
All right, ask to enter that as 41.
No objection to any of these, Judge.
So received is 41 into evidence.
And did you collect that cartridge?
Yes, I did.
You have it here.
Yes. It would be this one.
I'd ask to enter the cartridge as 42, please, Your Honor.
No objection.
So received.
And this photograph.
It's an expanded cartridge that was located near the weights or the weight bench in the yard.
Okay. Your Honor, that's come in as 43.
No objection.
So received is 43.
So this is in the yard, an expended cartridge, correct?
Yes.
And you have that cartridge itself?
Yes.
I'd ask that come in as exhibit number 44, please, Your Honor.
No objection.
So received is 44.
Now, we talked a little bit about diagrams, investigator. Did you also create a diagram of the porch area itself?
Yes.
And what is on that diagram?
On that diagram it is a reference of where Mr. Shelton was located, evidence was located, and a different variety of furniture was located.
And is it to scale?
No.
You recognize this photograph, investigator?
Yes.
What is that a photograph of?
It's a projectile defect that was on the side of the detached garage.
So, it's a bullet hole in the side of the garage?
Yes.
All right, ask this come in as exhibit number, I knew I'd lose count. 45. 45, thank you very much.
Any Any objection?
No objection.
So received is 45.
Thank you. So this is a close-up shot of the projectile defect in the side of the garage, correct?
Yes.
And were you able to locate what might have potentially caused that defect?
Yes.
And what did you locate?
It was a projectile that was laying on the floor inside of the detached garage.
Approach.
No objection.
You recognize that photograph?
Yes.
What is that a photograph of?
Of the projectile that was located inside the detached garage.
All right, I'd ask that photograph come in exhibit number 46, please.
So received is 46.
Investigator, did you take any steps to collect this particular projectile?
Yes.
Do you have that projectile here today?
I do.
Can you retrieve it, please?
Yes.
I'd ask that come in as exhibit 47, please.
No objection.
So received is 47.
And was anything done with that specific projectile in regard to its testing, investigator?
Yes, it was tested with serology and also with ballistics.
And that was with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
Correct, yes.
Finally, do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
What is that a photograph of?
It's an overall view of the inside of the detached garage.
I'd ask this come as exhibit number 48, please.
No objection.
So received into evidence is 48.
So this is a picture of the inside of the garage, correct?
Yes.
Do you know about where that bullet that we just mentioned, where was it located in the garage?
It would have been behind me from where I'm standing. The fridge was probably, the bullet hole was above the fridge, probably right here. And as soon as it passed through, it just fell directly to the ground.
Okay. Now, do you document all the evidence that you collect in regards to your investigation?
Yes.
How do you document that?
We assign each one a number. We also, who collected it, at what time, and where it was located at.
You recognize this packet?
Yes.
What is that?
That is a packet of my property receipt.
So basically, that's a list of property and evidence you collected in this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, that's just come as exhibit number 49, please.
No objection.
So received is 49.
Do you also make a list of what items have been sent to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation for potential testing?
Yes.
You recognize this, sir?
This is my TBI form that I created to send to Tennessee Bureau of Investigations for testing.
So that lists all the items that you sent off to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation for testing, correct?
Yes.
All right, this is come as exhibit number 50, please.
No objection.
So received into evidence.
And did you receive the reports back from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation in regards to the item you sent off for testing?
Yes.
If I may approach, please. Your Honor, just for the purpose of the record, these are the ones that have been previously stipulated to. So I'd ask to enter. You ready? The official microanalysis report from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is number 51. The official firearms report is number 52. And the official forensic biology report is number 53, please.
Mr.
No
Kempsey,
objection.
you've reviewed
51,
these
52.
documents, and 51, 52, and 53 are the stipulated.
They are, Judge.
Okay, all right, so received as stipulated exhibits.
And I'll ask to publish those at this time, please, Your Honor. Investigator, this is the official microanalysis report, and you've reviewed that report, is that correct?
Yes, I have.
And just basically in summary, since I know we can read, but what does that report say?
This report showed that on Mr. Foley's clothing there showed a gunshot residue, or there was particles that would be consistent with the gunshot residue on his clothing.
So on Mr. Foley's clothing, there was particles consistent with gunshot residue.
Yes.
Thank you. And the official firearms report, investigator, I'm guessing this is a report that sort of details the testing the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation did with the firearms materials that you sent them.
Yes.
And have you reviewed that report?
Yes.
And just in general, what was the summary of that report?
They said that the projectiles recovered from the scene were consistent with the firearm, but they could not say they were exact because of the damage that they obtained during firing.
So basically, the bullets that were recovered were consistent with having been fired from that firearm, but they couldn't say conclusively due to the damage of the bullets.
Correct.
Thank you. And then finally, the forensic biology report. What was significant on that specific report, investigator?
The projectile recovered from the shed had obtained Mr. Shelton's DNA on it.
So the projectile from the shed floor had Mr. Shelton's DNA on it.
Yes.
Thank you. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Officer Talbot, going all the way back to the beginning, we're looking at the crime scene video as you're walking through there.
Yes.
When you round the porch area, you focus in on a cup that's on the ground.
Yes.
What color was that cup?
It was orange.
Okay. Did you take that cup into evidence?
No.
Any reason for that?
No. At the time, there was several witnesses established that Mr. Shelton was there, so that's the reason why we didn't take the cup.
That certain witnesses established what?
That was where Mr. Shelton was sitting.
Okay. Do you recall the color of the drink that was in that glass?
It looked kind of peachish. Yeah.
Peach? Thank you. You took an enormous amount of photos on that day, is that correct? I would say an enormous amount of photos.
200 or 300 photos, yeah.
Okay, that's a lot to me. Is that normal for a crime scene?
Yes.
Okay. So you document pretty much everything?
Yes.
Right? And then you go back to the lab or to the office and write a report on that, correct?
Yes.
In that report, what you do is you try to draw the picture of where everything was located with words. Is
Yes.
that right? So you're measuring distances?
Yes.
Okay. In that report, you detailed out the distance from certain points to the evidentiary items. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall, sir, how far it was from the position of that cup where Mr. Sheldon was sitting to where Mr. Sheldon ultimately ended up?
Well, the porch was 25 by, I believe it was 9 inches long, and it was 9 feet by 10 inches wide. The cup was more towards pretty much on the edge of the porch, and then I believe that the way I took my measurements was I took 3 reference points. So reference point A would have been if you're looking at the porch from the backyard, reference point A would be the upper right-hand corner. And so from there to his feet, I believe were 14 feet and so many inches.
It was 14 feet from roughly where he was sitting to where he fell.
Yes.
Okay. What was the distance from where he fell? Excuse me, just 1 second. Sorry, I'm going through all the numbered exhibits.
Oh, you're fine.
Exhibit number 21, which was the bullet hole that came through my approach.
Yes.
So that's the bullet hole that went down through the porch. Is that correct?
Yes.
How far was that bullet hole from Mr. Sheldon?
It was up near his chest, and it was maybe less than a foot from him.
Okay. And that angle, you said it was, I believe earlier you said it was at a 50-degree angle?
It was a 50-degree downward angle.
Okay. And that downward angle, was that going in or out? Excuse me. Was it going, you said the bullet was not under the porch. So,
Correct.
Assumedly, and correct me if I'm wrong, that bullet was going away from the house into the yard.
Correct.
Okay. And about how far out in the yard was that?
That was right beside the porch. I believe in my overview shot with the drone photo, you could see an area where dirt was disturbed or the yard was disturbed, and that was where I had to dig into the ground to recover the projectile.
Are there any better photos of depicting exactly, what did you call the yellow rod that you put through it?
It's a trajectory rod.
Trajectory rod. Did you take any photos of a trajectory rod going down all the way through the porch?
Yes, I did.
My approach.
Yes.
Is that the photo of the trajectory rod going down through the porch?
Yes, it is.
And I believe that would be 54 if you would like me to
Any
continue.
objection?
No, Your Honor.
So received in evidence.
That trajectory rod, how long did you say you've been doing CSI work?
For 2 years.
Okay. How many trajectory rods have you used over that time period?
We usually on a couple of suicides we'll use them on those. When I first arrived up in the crime scene, we had a house that had over 40 something. We ran over 40 something rods in the house, so it was quite a bit.
Okay. So you've used them quite a bit.
Yes.
Is there a way that you measure kind of where the shooter was at when that bullet went through there?
Well, you can't determine where they were exactly at because all you're showing is the flight path of the actual projectile.
Okay.
I mean, you technically, the shooter could have been standing up on the roof of the house, you know,
Sure.
and for that angle too. So.
May I approach, Sean?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm not out of order.
Sir, do you recognize that picture?
Yes.
What are you doing in that picture?
I have attached a line to the end of the projectile rod and extended it out. And at that point, I was showing that I was just above 4 feet. Or 4 feet 4 inches is where I stopped that at.
And why is that significant?
Well, it would show that. I guess it's just a general display of, you know, nobody's going to be holding a gun up like this, or, you know, depending on how tall a person is.
Sure.
You know, once you get above 4 feet, that would be a pretty extreme angle for somebody to be holding a weapon and firing at that angle.
And that's what happened here. Is that correct?
Excuse me?
It was about 4 feet. It's
Yeah.
an extreme angle for someone to
Yeah.
fire. More likely somebody was pointing the gun down at the ground. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I'd ask that to be 55, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor, no objection.
So received is 55.
So you took photos of the inside of the house as well, is that correct?
The photos I took of the inside were just of the living room, hallway, and I believe it was bedroom number 2 as I labeled it, because that was the room that Mr. Foley and his girlfriend Miranda Goddard was staying in.
And in that room you took a picture of a bottle of vodka, is that correct?
Yes.
Is that the bottle of vodka?
Yes.
And how much vodka is left in there?
So probably about 1/3 is left in it.
In your report, you wrote about a quarter. Is that accurate?
Yeah, quarter, a third, yeah.
Thank you. And I'd ask for that to be number 6 or 56, Your Honor.
No objection.
So received is 56.
Your Honor, at this time I'd move to publish number 54, 55, and 56. I've done that.
Have,
No objection.
okay.
As long as we're clear on which one we publish.
Sure.
How do you want to do it? Do we use the document camera?
I would like to.
Can we turn it on, or are we still hooked up to the computer? Just, I think you can just lay it down. It's cut off. What number is that?
This is number 54, Your Honor.
Okay.
If I can have just a moment, Judge.
Yes.
Officer Talbot, on the forensic biology report, which I believe is exhibit number 53, that was sent to TDI Labs, correct?
Yes.
They tested various points on the gun, is that correct?
Yes, they did.
All right. On the slide of the weapon, they found 2 sets of DNA. Did they not? I believe it's just above magazine.
These presumptions. It said a mixture of at least 2 individuals,
Okay.
including at least 1 male.
Okay. And that was determined to be inconclusive. They couldn't determine who those 2 individuals were. Is that correct?
Yeah, they said it was not enough material was on the weapon to figure out why.
Thank you. Your Honor, that's already been entered as number 53 and published. Nothing further, Judge.
Redirect.
Here's one question. Investigator, do you know how high the bullet hole in the shed wall was?
Yes, I believe it was 11 feet off the ground.
Okay, 11 feet?
Yes.
Thank you.
May this witness be excused? And go ahead and approach when you have any questions. You stay right here for just a minute, please, investigator.
Sorry.
General, Mr. Kinsey, do you want to ask? Identify your question as you ask it, please, General.
Thank you. This is question A, Your Honor. Investigator, this is a 2-part question. Do you know how many bullets the firearm clip in this particular firearm held?
I believe that it was established that I recovered 7 expended cartridges, and there was 5 remaining rounds in the bullet or in the magazine itself.
Okay. And and that answers the second part. There were 5 bullets remaining in the magazine when you recovered it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Honor, question B, what type of holster is it?
I don't know what the brand is on the holster. I could look at it real quick.
Sure. Please do that.
I believe it says a ACK point holster.
And is that designed to be attached to the body, like a waistband, or to the leg, or how's it designed to be attached?
This one's designed to, it could be either inside the waist or outside the waist.
So attached to
The waist, yes.
So I have a question, please. And the holster's not in evidence, is that right?
It is.
It is. Okay, I didn't know if he had, okay, so I wasn't sure. All right. Any other questions? May this witness be excused?
Please, Your Honor.
I was confused by him picking it out of his box, or him packing it up. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thought you were leaving with it.
May we approach, Your Honor?
Yes. This is really inconvenient, isn't it? Got it. I have to ask y'all the time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the proof that we're going to hear today. We are going to recess until tomorrow morning. In the meantime, if you could please leave your notepads exactly where you are seated. They will not be disturbed. The court won't be locked during the night. Obviously, you keep your juror badges with you. Do not discuss the case with anyone. Do not consult any outside sources. Do not do any independent research. Do not begin any deliberations. Do not visit any scenes. Please do not violate any of the court's admonitions. Do not consult social media. I think that we're clear. If anyone approaches you about the case, you're to bring it to our attention immediately. I'll have you report back here to the jury room where you reported this morning. As I explained to you, we have recovery court in the morning. We have currently 129 people in recovery court, and all 4 phases in aftercare is due to report in the morning, and we have some people graduating. So I don't feel justified when they've been in the program for years to postpone their graduation, and then I can bring you in 45 minutes later and go ahead and accomplish our goals for in the morning. So if you'll report to the room by 9:45 in the morning, we'll be ready to go. You've done your lunch orders, correct? So we'll be here. Expect a full day tomorrow, and I appreciate your attention. And as I said, don't violate any of the court's admonitions. We're going to let you go back to the back and retrieve all your belongings, and you'll be excused for the day. All rise. Be seated, please. We're just going to remain. It shouldn't take another moment to gather their belongings. As I've instructed the jurors to report to the jury pool room tomorrow at 9:45. Attorneys will be here at 9:30.
Certainly. Yes,
That way, our recovery court docket should start 8 o'clock, 8:15, so we should be able to move pretty quickly. Are we ready? All rise. Okay, please be seated. Give them a moment to exit. Court's in recess. See you tomorrow morning at 9:45. Thank you. For those of you that are spectators, family members, and people of support, I expect the proceedings to start at 10. So if I can get the jurors in, that way we can proceed with our recovery court docket and then move back into the trial by 10 o'clock. Okay, thank you.